Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the differences between Jonathan Johnson and Governor Herbert. This will be the final video of this series. Today, I'm going to talk about the final question about voting. But first, I'd like to take this opportunity, as you can, for the first time, you can see my full desktop. It is Undertale. As you might be able to see if you go onto my channel, I also I'm doing a Let's Play of Undertale, and so I really like this game. It's really great. It's really funny, and it's also very deep. And it's I've learned a lot from this. I've already posted about a third of it on. There are 3 different routes that you can take in the game, and I've posted one of them, the neutral route, and I'm working on posting the other 2. And so, yeah, if you want to, subscribe to my channel and watch those videos, that would be great. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, all the formal stuff. So, Jonathan Johnson is accusing Governor Herbert of getting signatures in order to become governor. Well, but first off, he's also attacking Governor Herbert about signing this bill. But here's an article that kind of clarifies that. One bill Herbert signed into law in 2014, House Bill 54, has many members of the Utah Republican Party divided, and Johnson and Herbert are on opposite sides of that intra-party disagreement. The law, which provided an alternate route onto the ballot by a candidate gathering signatures, Herbert said is largely misunderstood. It came as a compromise to keep the caucus convention, Herbert said, after a ballot initiative threatened to completely do away with the caucus system. So he was just trying to keep the caucus convention alive by signing that bill, but Johnson is accusing him of making it possible to get signatures because he feels like that makes it harder for Utahns to be represented. Herbert at one time said he'd wished he vetoed the bill, though he said it had nothing to do with the bill being a bad idea, but because of the divisiveness of the issue, because people were divided. And so basically, like, yeah, he did sign that bill, but it was with good intentions. And it's there was a lot of arguing over what system we were going to use to vote. And look at this. Utah GOP settles civil war over SB 54 on May 30th, 2015. This debate took place in April. So when Jonathan Johnson asked Governor Herbert to stop collecting signatures, it still was not determined whether or what system we were going to use. And Governor Herbert, in order to ensure that he got on the ballot, had to go around collecting signatures. I would say there's probably about a 95% chance he could have gotten on the ballot anyway, but he wanted to make sure. And this is an article describing what happened. I'm sad to see some of the turmoil we've seen. I've called it the civil war inside the Republican Party, Utah Governor Gary Herbert told the committee. So like he said, he doesn't like the way that it has divided the Republican Party in Utah. That's why he regrets it, not because it was a bad idea. It was intended to be a compromise in order to keep the convention system going. So Governor Herbert does not support having to collect signatures at all. It's just that he signed the bill, making it an alternate route, in order to keep the caucus convention alive. And then he was collecting signatures to make sure that he got on the ballot. And as Governor Herbert mentioned, Jonathan Johnson was also collecting signatures at one point before he decided to stop, because, as Johnson said, he flew over Utah and decided that the people in Utah needed to be represented. And so I can forgive Jonathan Johnson for that. I can forgive him for changing his mind, if not for the fact that he has not been willing to forgive Governor Herbert for changing his mind on issues that are just as reasonable, such as Common Core. That's the biggest example. And also on when he tried to pass that Medicaid bill. So, see, even though Jonathan Johnson has never been the governor, he still has record of changing his mind sometimes, and so he needs to be willing to accept that Governor Herbert changes his mind sometimes. And so, in closing, I would also like to talk about something that happened at the Utah Republican Convention. I attended the Republican Convention. It was kind of a private meeting, and so I wasn't able to really find a whole lot of articles that talked about it, and none that talked about this particular thing. But there is a rule. Okay, first I'll explain how it works. So, the governor portion, where we elect the governor, works like this. Each candidate is given 6 minutes to speak, and then everyone votes. The order in which they speak is chosen at random, and as it was with this one, there were four governors that ran, and Governor Herbert spoke second, and Jonathan Johnson spoke third. The other two didn't have a chance. Oh yeah, first off, the candidate that spoke fourth, Nate Jensen, he spent his entire speech criticizing Governor Herbert, and it was pretty obvious that he was campaigning for Jonathan Johnson, which he was not supposed to do. That, I don't know if Jonathan Johnson told him to do that, but he might have. And then anyway, so later, they all spoke, we voted, and both Governor Herbert and Jonathan Johnson got over 40% of the vote, and so they moved on to a second round. By rule, in the second round, each candidate is given 2 minutes to speak, and whichever of the two candidates spoke before the other one in the first round was supposed to speak second in the second round, or vice versa. But that didn't happen. Governor Herbert still spoke first, and Jonathan Johnson still spoke second. And what I've been told is that Jonathan Johnson's campaign manager, it would only be logical to assume that Jonathan Johnson told him to do this. His campaign manager begged the federal government, the Rules Committee, to let Jonathan Johnson go second. He was yelling